अभी इन द मीन टाइम हम ये करेंगे कि इसी बात पे, इसी मौजू पे कि मुसलमानों की उस वक्त हिंदुस्तान में सूरत हाल क्या थी, इस सिलसिले में हमने बात की प्रोफेसर फ्रांसिस रॉबिन्सन से, जो कि ऑक्सफोर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी में और रॉयल होलोवे यूनिवर्सिटी में हैं प्रोफेसर तारीख के, और इनके जो है एरिया ऑफ स्पेशलाइजेशन वो है हिंदुस्तान में मुसलमानों की तारीख, बल्कि मुसलमानों की तारीख बिलअमूम और विद स्पेशल रेफरेंस टू द इंडियन सब कॉन्टिनेंट। इसके अलावा इनकी जो कुतब हैं वो एटलस ऑफ द इस्लामिक वर्ल्ड सिंस 1500 हिजरी यानी कि 1992, इस्लाम एंड मुस्लिम हिस्ट्री इन साउथ एशिया, और द उलमा ऑफ फरंगी महल एंड इस्लामिक कल्चर इन साउथ एशिया, द मुगल एम्परर्स एंड इस्लाम साउथ एशिया एंड द वेस्ट, जो कि 2007 में शाया हुई। तो हमने प्रोफेसर फ्रांसिस रॉबिन्सन से बात की, आए देखते हैं कि उनकी जो एक्सपर्ट ओपिनियन है इस बारे में वो क्या है। Hello, Professor Dr. Francis Robinson. Welcome to our show. Thank you very much for being with us. Can you please tell us about the social, political and religious state of the Muslims in the British India?
Okay. We'll have to divide this up into political, social and religious. And I think we also have to recognize that the situation is changing from the early or late 18th, early 19th century through to 1947. Politically, we really can't talk about the Muslims. They're very divided, and divided throughout the time that they're operating, that the British are in India. They're divided by language. You have Bengalis, Punjabis, you have people in the United Provinces, you have people in Tamil Nadu, people in Kerala, people in Hyderabad. They all have different interests. They're all placed differently politically. And so there's no world in which you can talk about a united Muslim community. So the nature of Muslim politics in British India, really from the beginning of the 19th century down to 1947, is largely one of division, of divided interests. Now, you mentioned socially. Simply, and this is a very simple division, you could divide India's Muslims between the, if you like, the Sharif classes or the Ashraf, many of them descendants of former Mughal courtiers and civil servants, many of them either having genealogies that go back into Arabia or Iran or Central Asia, many of them having invented genealogies that go back into those areas. So there is an area, a level of people who call themselves Sharif folk, associated either with the former rule of the Mughals or their successor states, or subsequently with British rule. Beneath that, you've got a whole world of traders and artisans, typically found in many of the towns of, say, the United Provinces. But beyond that, you've got a huge level of essentially peasants. In Bengal, Punjab, two great peasant areas, and quite a substantial group of peasants in the United Provinces as well. So divided in class terms. Thirdly, you mentioned religion, and obviously you have the old divisions of Shia, Sunni, Ismaili, and so on. But the whole business of responding to British rule in the 19th century leads to the development of what one might call various, in inverted commas, sects. So the Deobandis emerge with a particular idea of how they're going to respond to British rule. The followers of Ahmad Reza Khan Barelvi, they also emerge with a rather different idea of how they're going to respond to British rule. You have the Ahl Hadith and the Ahl Quran with their own idea of how they're going to respond to the challenges represented by British rule. And you have old families like the Ferengi Mahal family who are very much concerned, rather like the Barelvis in fact, to maintain the old forms of learning and not take undue risks in responding to British rule. And then beyond that, of course, you have people like Ghulam of Qadiani, who has his own particular response to British rule. And that creates a whole series of divisions, religious divisions, which you will be very well aware exist right up to the present amongst the Muslims of South Asian origin.
और नाज़रीन, ये थे प्रोफेसर फ्रांसिस रॉबिन्सन। इनका हमने जो कंप्लीट इंटरव्यू उसमें से कुछ हिस्सा हमने निकाल कर जो अभी आज की गुफ्तगू से रेलेवेंट था वो हमने यहाँ पे आपको सुनाया है। मुकम्मल इंटरव्यू आपको हमारी जो यूट्यूब का चैनल है वहाँ पे मिल जाएगा और हम उसको जल्दी अपनी वेबसाइट के साथ भी लिंक करेंगे। लेकिन वेबसाइट की बात आज हम करेंगे प्रोग्राम के बिल्कुल इख्तिताम पे, तब हम इसका जिक्र भी करेंगे।